Hi everybody, today we're going to be talking about lesson 2, equivalent ratios. So first off, what is an equivalent ratio? So the first part, equivalent, kind of sounds similar to equal. So whenever you see the word equivalent, you're going to think equal, because equivalent ratios are the same comparison of numbers. So the same or equal, that is what an equivalent ratio is. So let's see an example. For every 16 basketball players in Crystal County schools, there are 48 soccer players. If the ratio remains constant and there are 64 basketball players, how many soccer players are there? So when there are 16 basketball players, there are 48 soccer players. Now it's asking us, what if there are 64 basketball players? How many soccer players will there be? So to do this, we want to look up top and think, how are we getting from 16 to 64? Now, one important thing to remember or to keep in mind is that with ratios and rates, we can only multiply and divide. So using multiplication or division, what are we using up here to get from 16 to 64? Multiplication or division? We're using multiplication. So to figure out what we're multiplying by, we can do the opposite. We can divide. So 64 divided by 16 equals 4. So that means we are multiplying our 16 by 4. So they have 4 times as many basketball players now. With ratios, whatever you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom. So if I multiply the top by 4, I'm going to have to multiply the bottom by 4. So 48 times 4 is 192. So when there are 64 basketball players, there are now 192. I'm sorry, I wrote 94 down there. It should be 92. There are 192 soccer players. And these are equivalent ratios because we are multiplying by the same thing. So we have the same comparisons of numbers here. Now, the second way that we could solve this problem is by using cross multiplication. So if we have 16 basketball players for 48 soccer players, and now we have 64 basketball players, we can use the butterfly method to cross multiply. So we can do 48 times 64, and that's going to equal 16 times our question mark, because we're not sure what that is. So if we do 48 times 64, that's going to be 3,072. Now to solve this, I would then need to divide because I want to undo my multiplication by dividing. So I'm going to divide by 16. These cancel out. So 3,072 divided by 16 equals 192. So you can solve 2 ways. The first way is saying what are we multiplying by. The second way is cross multiplication and then divide. Let's try another one. Sarah made baskets on some of her shots in a basketball game. If she continues to make baskets at the same rate, how many baskets will Sarah make in her next 6 shots? So she made 12 baskets for 18 shots. And now it's asking, what if in her next 6 shots, how many baskets is she going to make? So in 6 shots, how many baskets is she going to make? So using our first method, let's think, are we using multiplication or division to get from 16 to 18? I'm sorry, from 18 to 6. So we're using multiplication or division. So we're dividing because it's getting smaller. So to figure out what I'm dividing by, I'm going to do 18 divided by 6. And that tells me that I am dividing by 3. And you can always go back and check your work by doing 18 divided by 3. Does that equal 6? Yes. Now with ratios, whatever you do to the bottom, I'm going to do to the top. So since I divide the bottom by 3, I'm going to divide the top by 3. So what is 12 divided by 3? 12 divided by 3 is 4. So that means in 6 shots, I am making 4 baskets. And these are equivalent ratios. So 12 to 18 is equivalent or equal to 4 to 6. The second way we can solve this is by using our cross multiplication method. So I know I have 6 shots. I do not know how many baskets I have. I'm going to cross multiply. So I'm going to do 12 times 6 and set that equal to 18 times what? 12 times 6 is 72. I then have to divide because I want to undo this multiplication. So I'm going to divide by 18. 72 divided by 18 is 4, which is exactly what I got up here. So there are 2 methods that we can use. All right, last one. Which of the following ratios are equivalent to 9 to 12? So I have 3 to 4, 2 to 3, 6 to 9, and 12 to 16. So to set these equal, I'm just going to write them out. So I'm going to write them as fractions this time. 3 to 4, is this equivalent to 9 to 12? So to figure out if it's equivalent, I am going to look at my 4 to 12. What am I doing to get from 4 to 12 using multiplication or division? So I am multiplying by 3. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So when I multiply 3 by 3, do I get 9? Yes, I do. So that means 3 to 4 is equivalent. Let's try the next one. 2 to 3. Is this equivalent to 9 to 12? So looking at 3 to 12, what am I multiplying 3 by to get to 12? So I would have to multiply it by 4 here. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. If I multiply my 2 by 4, do I get 9? No, I do not. 4 times 2 is actually 8, and that does not equal 9. So 2 to 3 is not equivalent. Last 2. 6 to 9. Is this equivalent to 9 to 12? This time I'm going to show you guys the cross multiplication method to check. So on this one, I'm going to multiply across. I'm going to do 9 times 9. And I'm going to say, does that equal 6 times 12? Well, 9 times 9, put that in your calculator if you need a reminder, is 81. 6 times 12 is 72. Do these equal each other? They do not. So these are not equivalent. So 6 to 9 is not equivalent. Last one is 12 to 16. Is this equivalent to 9 to 12? I want you guys to try this on your own. Use either method you want. You can either use your cross multiplication, or you can see what are we multiplying by or dividing by, and are they the same? So are these equivalent? Let's check. I'm going to do my cross multiplication on this one to check. So I'm going to do 16 times 9, and does this equal 12 times 12? 16 times 9 is 144, and 12 times 12 is also 144, so these are equivalent.